business owners, public servants, humble leaders, and fellow corporate hippies. Do you ever find yourself rambling, going down rabbit holes, or just drowning your audience in all of the things? Well, join me for my upcoming workshop, The Goldilocks Effect, where I'm going to share with you just that, the Goldilocks Effect. Saying not too little, not too much, but just the right amount to land your message with impact every single time. It's happening on the 30th of July. That's a Wednesday at 12:30 Australian Eastern Standard Time. There is a cost involved. It's a high value workshop, 75 minutes. I'll teach, you'll ask questions, and you will get them answered. The link is in my bio. With that said, welcome. Welcome to another episode of Speaking with Confidence with Kat Matson, the show where I coach you, humble leaders, how to speak with authority, authenticity, confidence, and impact so you can make your desired dent, your desired contribution in the world. It's awesome to have you here. Thank you for tuning in. If this is your first episode, welcome. There is a massive back catalogue of episodes, which if you scroll through, you will find that I cover pretty much everything you need to know about how to speak with confidence. And if you're a familiar or long-term listener, welcome back. It's lovely to have you. I got a notification, a delayed notification, that there were some comments on Spotify. So if you're listening and you've been listening for a while and you kind of think, gosh, I enjoyed this, it would make my life if you could leave me a comment. So please, if you're listening on Spotify, just drop in and leave a comment. If you're listening on Apple Podcast, yes, it is a little bit more difficult, but I do eventually get the notification that you have made such a comment and I will reply. The other reason for leaving a comment, apart from, my ego stroke, it just helps other people. It helps to tell the algorithm to feed this episode to other people who are looking for speaking and confidence tips. And I don't know about you, but I'm all for more diverse voices contributing to the conversations that matter. So with that said, what are we talking about today? Well, what we speak about and when we speak counts. In last week's newsletter that I sent out, do you get my newsletter, by the way? If you don't, then I'll also post the link to how you can sign up for that. And as a thank you, you will instantly get my How to Stop Rambling ebook. But the reason that you want to be on my newsletter is I send out every week a little, well, it's actually not that little, a note. The things that I've been thinking about, musing on, as well as upcoming events, workshops, etc. And in last week's newsletter, I talked about how I've taken on a new mantra, and that mantra is not my problem. And this has become a bit of a thing for me because, let's just say I'm a problem solver. I can see all of the things that need to be solved, and I try to solve them. The problem is, from an energetic perspective, I get exhausted before I'm even thinking about solving the things that matter most to me or building my business. And in the past, what it's also done is it's had me speak up and speak out on topics that, let's just say I have an opinion on, but maybe don't have experience or potency in. And so that's what I wanted to talk about today, because as I've just said, I'm all about empowering diverse voices to contribute to the conversations that matter. The reason I do this work is because I want to see more diverse voices at the table, in the conversations and contributing to the conversations that matter. The thing is, in today's landscape, it's really easy to have an opinion about everything. And your opinion can be valid. There's no doubt about it. And you have to ask yourself, is it going to contribute? And, righteous indignation and moral outrage doesn't contribute to moving the dial on the conversations that matter. It adds noise, it adds aggro, it adds volume to, Facebook posts or protest conversations. And don't get me wrong, the things that people are outraged about are important. I'm not discounting that. But when you contribute to a conversation that is shrieky, that is in its own echo chamber, that is coming from a place of that moral outrage and righteous indignation, you need to question whether or not you're making a difference or whether you're adding to the noise. And so in this thinking that I've been doing about not my problem, I need to be very, very, very strategic about when I contribute to certain conversations, which conversations I contribute to, and which ones I just need to let be. In the newsletter, I talked about Stephen Covey's circle of control and circle of influence. And if you imagine two concentric circles, at the center is the circle of control, those things that I have direct control over. So how I react, what I eat, what I do every day, how I spend my time. And my circle of influence is those things that I can push out, I can contribute to. And then a bigger circle, kind of the biggest one of all, is the circle of concern. And that circle of concern is all of the things that are on that you're kind of noticing, or that I'm noticing, and are of concern to me. It can be really tempting in the digital age to contribute to everything in our circle of concern, but often we don't have influence on all of those topics. And so when we are strategic about choosing the conversations that we contribute to, we actually expand our circle of influence, which over time means that perhaps we can expand into our circles of concern. So I just wanted to share today how I personally choose which conversations to contribute to. And this goes back to my career in the public sector, as well as today in terms of all of the things that I can be concerned about. The first thing is this contribution that I think I want to make, is this going to help or hinder my bigger objectives? Note, this is not a conversation about whether this contribution is going to make me popular or not. That's not what I mean by help or hinder. But I certainly noticed in my public sector career that I would often have an opinion about freaking everything that was going on in a meeting, etc. And I would say it. The problem is, if you've always got an opinion about everything, then people tune out every time you open your mouth. And so then when you do have something that is really important for you to contribute, people are no longer listening. It's kind of like The Boy Who Cried Wolf, but in a corporate, the word tedium just popped into my head, in a corporate tedium kind of perspective where your audience just goes, there's Kat again. There's Kat. She's just got an opinion. And the thing is, when we're opinionated and when we're sharing our opinions all of the time, then we're not actually making a stand for something. We're instead demonstrating that we just always want to hear our own voice. And it can be really confronting to acknowledge that. So when I ask myself, is this going to help or hinder my bigger objective? I ask myself very honestly, what is the strategic value of me contributing this time and this energy to this conversation? I then follow that up with, can I make a difference here? Does my contribution add to the conversation, or does it just add noise? Does my contribution bring a different perspective? Does it elevate it? Does it add more substance or more kudos? Now, in some respects, this actually means that perhaps it's not just about my opinion. Perhaps I need to be a credible witness, so to speak. And so already, just by asking those two questions, I will often decide not to add a comment or reply to a thread or speak up in a meeting where I might have an opinion, but I can't necessarily add to the conversation. Then the third one, and I've kind of hinted at this, is my contribution of substance? Is it of value? And what I mean by that is, am I bringing something of legitimacy to the conversation, or am I just spouting rhetoric? Am I just expressing the opinion of Kat? Again, don't get me wrong, our opinions are just as valid as anybody else's. And when we consider how we contribute to the conversations that matter, then that contribution needs to have some backing. It needs to have some either lived experience or some insight that doesn't already exist in the conversation for it to be valuable. Now, why do I go through all this? Someone who is opinionated, who is a problem solver, who wants to contribute to the big conversations, who wants to make an impact. Why do I pull myself back? Why do I put myself through this filtering process? Well, one, because I have a finite amount of energy and hours in the week. And if I'm getting riled up about everything, then I'm not going to be making the contribution or the progress on the things that are really important to me. The other thing is, I honestly do believe there is value in becoming known for a handful of things. I am not a proponent of just doing one thing. And if you are a regular listener, you will know that I have my finger in many, many, many pies. But I am always focusing on how does this contribution, how does this conversation, how does me speaking up at this point in time, how does that contribute to my bigger strategic objectives so that when I do contribute, I'm adding to my reputation as being an expert, as being a credible witness in the things that I want to be known for: speaking, confidence, empowering humble leaders. So this all links back to, as I said, this newsletter that I wrote last week around not my problem. It's a harsh saying, and it might not be the one that you want to take on. But by reminding myself that I don't need to solve all of the problems in the world, and instead I need to focus on my little circle of influence. And by focusing on my circle of influence and making a dent there, I can slowly but surely expand that circle of influence into other areas. That is the best use of my time and my energy. Now, this is a topic that I've spoken about before, and if you want to hear a little bit more about what I call the curse of moral outrage and righteous indignation, I invite you to have a listen to episode 50. Oh my goodness, that was about 100 episodes ago. And look, the curse of moral outrage and righteous indignation is very much a digital age element. Social media has absolutely encouraged everyone to have an opinion and for everyone to express their opinion about everything that they have an opinion about. In the old days, we'd have a conversation at the pub or with our mates or with our family over the dinner table, but now everyone can shout into the void or into the echo chamber about what they believe to be right, true, fair, and just, which is fabulous. And for me, it might not be true for you, but for me, I find that I do start running out of energy and it robs me of making the impact that I could elsewhere. I would love to hear whether this has resonated with you, whether you find that you too can get really caught up in wanting to have an opinion or wanting to contribute to all of the conversations. And actually, what is useful is to focus on what you can contribute to best and letting the rest sit out in your peripheral vision. So if you would like to let me know, please find me on Instagram at Kat Matson. It's of course linked in the show notes. And just send me a DM. Just send me a DM. And if you want to join me for that upcoming workshop on the 30th of July, the Goldilocks effect, how to say not too little, not too much, but just the right amount to land your message with impact, then please also click the link in the show notes and I will see you on the 30th of July. In the meantime, here's to confidence, here's to impact, and I'll see you again soon.